Hey guys, this is DFD, aka Dark Frozen Depths, back with another Kamihime project video. Now, I'm a little bit late on this one because I've kind of been a little bit busy. I had work to deal with and a few other things. Plus, I was waiting on some stuff to see in-game because there's going to be a second part of this video after I go through the event reprint. But I'm going to make the reprint very quick going over it because it's a lot of stuff that we've seen before. But it's against Medjed, and it is a Thunder one, so you want wind teams, especially for Heroic, because Heroic is a very interesting one, and I'm really going to have to take some time to go through that. But, generally, I don't need to go over the stuff you get in the event. It's an advent, so you're on your own. But the usual stuff applies. Basically, go after the SSR stuff first. The gotcha tickets as well, the magic jewels, the books are more and more worthwhile now. Get the green cores, get a lot of the more important stuff basically, because it's easier to tell what's more important. Now, as for the event itself, remember that you have to be rank 100 in order to start Heroic, so those of you that aren't there, you're not going to be able to try it. Not to mention you need rank 71 to do Ragnarok Plus, which is one of the better grinding spots because doing that twice a day will get you a lot of drops. Definitely try to be able to clear Ragnarok if you can, if not Ultimate. You still want to grind out the stuff from this event anyways. Now, as for Medjed herself, this one's a little bit tricky to fight because she generally likes putting damage cut on herself, killing your buffs, and then on top of that too, there's something that says excitement, which is going to be in play for one of her triggers. I don't think excitement is what it really is. I think it's a paralyze instead. Google Translate might be weird, but her big deal is generally a lot of buff and debuff focus type stuff. She likes killing your buffs, she likes removing debuffs off herself. And the first thing she does is put a defense up on herself and recover 2 buffs. If there's no defense up on her, she'll keep using it. Don't remove the defense up. Now, if she has defense up, she's going to go into evasion up and remove a debuff. When she has evasion up, she'll start buffing herself. When she has attack up, she'll start putting attack down on you. When she has attack up and you're holding attack down, then she's going to try and put defense down. And if you put defense down, and she puts defense down on you, and you also have attack down, then she's going to try and paralyze you, provided no one is paralyzed. All of these triggers will go off in order like that. This is a lot to remember. On top of that, they're still removing all your buffs and doing damage based on the number of buffs that you have. So be very, very careful of that. In normal mode, though, it's instead just randomly dealing 5 hits, removing all your buffs, and then putting a damage cut on herself. So you're going to have to try and get past all of that. Now, for Ultimate, it's 1.5 million HP. For Ragnarok, it's 3 million. And for Ragnarok Plus, it's 12 million. Also, Ragnarok Plus has other enemies too. Generally, just pay very close attention to what they're doing. Usually, if they have a burst, then their trigger is based on their burst. So remember that. Now, Heroic. You're only fighting Medjed. She has 250 million HP, so the same as Bethor. So Bethor has basically the same HP as her. Generally, if you cannot solo the Thunder Guardian full, like if you cannot solo her first Guardian fight, because I know the Guardian Plus came out, but if you can't solo her full's first Guardian fight, the Thunder one, then chances are you're probably not soloing this. because in my opinion this is harder than the Guardian solo. But the deal with this fight, she loves putting paralyze on you. And then there's a specific ruin debuff that you're going to have to pay attention to. And you have to keep doing the conditions to release it. Now, the general gimmick with that is a laundry list of stuff you have to pay attention to. The first time the ruin is put on you, you have to use every ability, like every colored ability. So one red, one green, one blue, one yellow. One of each is all you need. The second time it's put on you, activate a full burst, and you'll cancel out the ruin. Then after that, it's based on how many orbs she has. If it's 0 or 2 orbs, you have to remove 3 of the buff protections off of her, all 3 of them. So if you don't have 3 ways to debuff her, or at least be able to land 3 debuffs, you're guaranteed to fail this fight if she puts ruin on you during turn 0, when she has 0 orbs or 2 orbs. Now, when she has 1 orb, activate a burst in order to get rid of the ruin. And if it's full orbs, you have to inflict 5 million damage in a single turn. Now, the ability and the damage triggers, they're the ones that have 1 turn wait. The others have 3 turns. If you cannot, well, actually the ability might have 3 turns if looking at this, but if you cannot meet the conditions within a certain time, ruin will go off and kill off your team. Generally consider that a fail. You can also have some protection against ruin, but if you end up getting hit with that one, you're still taking damage. So that's the big gimmick about this fight, definitely the ruin thing. You're going to need to protect yourself against the damage, but you must get rid of the ruin. It is spammed, and I think it's called Doom on our version, but the general thing with that debuff is that anytime it's cast on you, if you cannot get rid of it, you are going to die instantly. If you do happen to have some auto revives, that can help you out too, so remember that for anybody that's using S-Clap. Now, as for the stuff you get from this, first off, you can trade weaker stuff in order to get the stronger, more gold material that you trade for. So those of you that have done this before, do that and get as much of those as you can out the gate. As for the add-ons themselves, rewards, the add-on is worth it because of the fact that it says random effect on all hours or enemies. It's whatever. There's a lot of different things. I'm probably not going to go over it because it's situational and very RNG. It's not that good of a summon effect. Her main effect is her gimmick because of the fact that it gives you 40% elemental attack and 10% defense. That defense is pretty much acting like a permanent damage cut because it's a permanent defense increase. So that's going to help out any weaker players that happen to need her. Now, here's where things are pretty interesting. You grant Curse with her gun if you put it on a soul. So any fights where enemies can heal, you're going to want to put that Curse on them. That's only if you're able to land that debuff, because there's a lot of things that want elemental advantage, and Heroic is one case of that. Now, the effects it has is basically a Defender and a Pride. Not all that great, but it does have some use for that Curse in some fights when you see stuff healing. So pay close attention to that, because it will turn the healing out of the equation, period, point blank. That's what Curse does. Now, the axe, in my opinion, is a little bit more worth because it has Assault and Stinger. 2 multipliers on a single weapon, but Stinger isn't always guaranteed to go off, so pay close attention to that. The downside is that I can't final break. The base stats on these weapons aren't too bad, and honestly, they aren't bad as starter weapons, but you're going to want to go for the guns from that Guardian raid I mentioned, so these can hold you out until you can get better stuff, basically. There's essentially a better version of what the gun gives as well in Ultimate Raids, so that's something else to pay attention to. Because Small Pride is not as much as a Small Assault, unless your HP drops. Now, as for the event missions, generally clear with certain rarities and you get extra stuff. Clear Ragnarok Plus without an elixir and you get extra stuff as well. If you clear with just R rarity for Ragnarok, you might as well just go with that same R rarity team for Ultimate and Expert just to clear those missions out. Even your sub slots have to be that rarity, so make sure you change all 6 of your characters, or just keep your sub slots empty or something like that. But like I said, the main gimmick with this event is easily paying attention to what you get debuffed by, and what buffs are in effect and all that too. And again, heroic difficulty, she's got Guardian raid HP, so test yourself out by seeing if your win team can solo the Guardian, the Thunder Guardian, because if they can't, chances are you're not beating this, because this is harder than that. So that's something to pay attention to. Now then, something else to pay attention to. We have updates, and of course I have to go over them. First off, you're already seeing something very interesting right out the gate, because the Win version of Saraswati, or however you pronounce her name, used correctly, she's a pretty good Hime, but her weapon is the biggest gimmick, and it's a permanent addition to the game, so that's something you probably want to go after. It's a Rebellion weapon, and Rebellion gets stronger as your HP drops like Pride, but it's in another multiplier. But used correctly, it is very, very strong because of that. And also, I forgot the day reset too, so I gotta go through the login stuff. But here's something interesting that you're going to want to go over as an event. This. If you go through the storyline, either by checking the scenes or by replaying them, you get a crap ton of magic jewels right now. This is because we're about to get updates to the story chapters, which should give us chapters 35 through 39, I believe. This is a grand total of 6,100 magic jewels. Do this. Do all of this. The reason I didn't do it just yet is because I wanted to save it to show off in the video. But do this. I'm going to go through, skip through all that stuff because I've already completed storyline. Go through, skip through all that stuff, and claim my free pools. Do this. If you don't know, you can go back to the library right here, and you can review all the scenes and everything, even from old events as well, provided you've actually seen said old event. But that's where you go if you want to rewatch your scenes. But do that. Definitely do that. Now, there's also some other stuff too that has happened. We have an update. A few updates, in fact. There's characters that's been rebalanced. I'm not sure how good they are, because personally I don't have either one. But they're better now, so that's something to know. This is where it gets a little bit more interesting, though. Thunderbird got stronger, and so did Huang Long. Now, it's just in their summon effects. Their main effects are unchanged, and their final limit break effects are also now in play too. I'll go over that in a second. But there's some defects. Thunderbird used to give you a double attack increase, like the rate of double attack. Now she just flat out guarantees it. And honestly, if you're going to get a double attack buff, this is the only one you really need to worry about, which is guaranteed double attack. It is so easy to get so much double attack that you can easily hit 100% in double attack and 100% in triple attack combined. Like say 70% double and 30% triple. Now, in the case of Huang Long, I think it's even better because she gives defense. And what that means is that she's now a defense debuffer. It was way better than what she used to do, which was increasing the stun duration. And stun doesn't last that long even if you increase the duration. So, that said, Huang Long got much better when you summon her. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people are looking at these two Adoans and wondering when they'll stop getting them too, because I know that's a thing. They seem to be very, very common, along with Echidna and a few others. But nice to know that they have more uses now if you have them on your Adoan deck. And there's probably a good chance you will because of something else. That happens to be this main thing right here. Thunder Guardian of Wrath Ragnarok Plus has been added. This is the Thunder version of the Guardian raid I mentioned, but it's Guardian Plus, which means it's harder than the original. Do not go into this without a win team. Otherwise, you're going to face a penalty where you're going to not be able to debuff and you have less damage output, period, point blank. It is not going to be worth it. Now, remember I mentioned Thunderbird and Huang Long? Those two, along with 3 other Adoans, can now final break. You need to do that Guardian Plus raid in order to get their stuff. We've already had it with Fire and Water too, so that's something to know. We're going to get another 3 later on eventually. But there's a few things that's really been interesting that's been changed. There's now 20 people allowed in the Guardian Plus raids. Whether or not that's a good thing is dependent on how good your connection is. They've also made it easier to get drops. So those purple chests will appear more often. On top of that, Fire and Water have been weakened. So that's something to know. So those of you that are grinding Guardian Plus, there's a lot easier stuff to deal with. It's not completely a cakewalk, but it's still easier to deal with. And of course, they did some bug fixes and all that type of stuff too. Also, anybody that's trying to do the epic quests, you have more of them. There's one more in there now. But it says the main quest has been renewed. So, what I believe that means is that the storyline has changed. Because you don't get the jewels back, but the storyline has changed. They rebalanced the storyline a little bit to be, I guess, more cohesive. But we're eventually going to get even more storyline pretty soon, so expect a chapter 35 to appear at some point. When it does, you can go through and do that. It will drop some of the old stuff. It won't be new materials to go after, so thankfully that's not a thing. In fact, it will only help when you try to go through that, because it'll get you more materials for when you're trying to get the souls and all that too. Because believe me when I say this, getting these souls can take a lot. I'm almost done with this first one, but I still need a lot of these silver books. Not to mention I still got some fangs to go get here and some gold books and other things along the other stages. I've unlocked quite a few of those. You still need to do storyline to get their materials. That's not ever going to change. So that's something to really remember. And for that suggestion, I would say play through storyline instead of reviewing it through the library, but up to you. If you want the jewels now, just view it through the library. Otherwise, replay it and get some extra materials. But anyways, that's all for this. More of this will come soon, because I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to do the heroic, but I'm definitely going to try it. So if I win that, of course, you'll see a video of that popping up. Also, expect a Miss Train Girls video pretty soon because I'm playing that and I've been getting some very decent progress. No guide video on that or anything like that because I'm not doing that. But it is an extraordinarily grindy game. If you think Kamihime Project's grindy, do not play Miss Train because it's even more grindy. But anyways, that's all for this. More of this will come soon, and take care.